So I'm running the marathon in about 2 or 3 months' time, and although I know what I need to do in terms of the mileage, I really want to know more about my muscles and how I should and shouldn't be running. So I've come here to the London Clinic, to the physio department, to meet the experts.
Hi, my name is Ruth. Yeah, I'm one of the physiotherapy team.
And my name is Federico, I'm one of the senior physiotherapists.
So give me the lowdown on what we're going to do today.
So today we're going to put you through your paces. We're going to have a look at your muscle length. We're going to see which muscles are tight, which muscles are going to affect your running, and we're going to have a look at your body's ability to shock absorb. So can your body take the load of running this marathon?
I hope so.
The first test we're going to look at is the modified Thomas test. It's a test that assesses your ability of going with your hip into extension, which is very important during the running
Stride.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So once you basically have done your stride and you're propelling with the back leg, you should be able to go into extension freely. Otherwise, if you have tightness, that could obviously restrict either your knee or your lower back, and you can pick up some sort of strain in these two areas. Okay? So if I can ask you to have a seat onto the edge of the plane. That's very good. And I'm going to ask you to bring the right thigh towards your chest and hold probably underneath your thighs even better. Very good. If you can roll back and rest on the pillow. We're going to basically have a look at the behavior of this leg. So we expect for a flexible hip that this leg drops down towards the floor rather than move up towards the ceiling. So shall we swap side and see how the other side performs? Okay, very good. This is actually even more flexible than the other side.
Right.
So this one is happier to go down.
Okay.
And because you can sit up now, and because we always assess one side compared to the other one, we expected both to behave in the same way.
Okay.
So possibly the left hip is slightly tighter, and we might have a look at some stretches or some movement to try to free up that range.
So would that be then why, because occasionally I do get a very small amount of pain in that, but minuscule if I've done a significant distance.
It could be an explanation, obviously.
Yeah.
We should have to look at the entire movement of the hip before obviously giving you a certainty. But obviously if you have a tightness in this area and you repeatedly go into a backward swing, that could obviously irritate something in the front of your hip and can give you some discomfort.
Good. Okay, so we're going to have a look at your hamstring length. So we're going to take your hip up into a 90-degree angle here, and then what I'm hoping is going to happen is as I straighten your lower leg, it's going to come up almost to 90 degrees as well. If it's a little bit tight, it will be less than that. Okay. Great, so you're lacking probably about 25 degrees there, 30 degrees, so not much. So you have actually got pretty good hamstring length on that side. Good. Let's compare it to the other side. And the same on that one. You've got pretty even hamstring length. You have good hamstring length. So all looks well for your marathon dreams. Okay, Pixie, so we're going to have a look at you doing a side plank today. So we're going to have a look at this to check your lateral hip stabilizer muscles and your core. Okay? So if you'd like to get into position, you're going to bring your elbows, so it's just tucked under you. You're going to straighten your legs, stack your feet on top of another, keep your hip forward. Okay, and then you're going to have a go at just lifting your hips up, and you're going to try and hold that position. We can just test and see how many seconds you can hold for.
You're making it sound very easy. Let's have a go.
Okay. Great.
Wow.
It's hard,
It's not as
isn't
easy as it looks, is it?
Yeah. No.
How long should you try to do that for?
So we'll be looking at about 30 to 45 seconds.
Okay, I've got a bit of work to do on that one then.
Yeah. Okay, Pixie, so we're going to have a look at you doing a single leg hop test for distance. So we're basically looking at your body's ability to shock absorb in this test. So you're going to hop from your left leg and you're going to land on your left leg. And we're just looking to see what distance is, and I'm going to repeat it 3 times. Then we will compare it to the other leg, and we'll make sure there's no more than a 10% difference between the right and the left leg.
And if there's a big difference between the right and left leg, what does that mean?
So it's indicating that your body maybe doesn't have the same ability to either generate force or to shock absorb.
Okay, alright, that's very important if you're
It's
passionate.
hugely important, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to cheat, so I shouldn't be.
Yeah, line your heel up. Yeah.
Okay.
So Pixie, this is one of the most challenging tests we've done so far.
Okay.
So this involves basically checking all your joints and their functional ability to perform activities such as running or any sort of sport that people tend to do in their recreational time. Okay? I'm asking you to do is to stand with your left foot in the middle of the star.
Okay.
Okay. Then using the other foot to try to reach as far as possible towards these lines, okay, but without touching the floor. Okay. That has to be done in a consecutive way. Okay.
Right.
So you will be touching forward, touching to the side, touching to the other side, and also you need to go across. Okay? Ready for it?
I'm definitely going to fall over. Okay, let's do it. Right, so.
Very good.
Whoa. That is very hard.
It's very hard.
That is really hard. Just show me how slick you are at it.
Okay, let's try again. Okay, so if I hold my weight with my left leg, try to reach forward, and then I'm going to the right hand side, and then I'm going to the backwards, and all the way back, across, all the way across, and across this way.
So Federico, you're really good at it. I'm not particularly good at it. Because of that, am I putting myself at risk of anything, falling, fatigue, anything like that? What's...
Well, the implication of the inability of doing these tests are obviously to see into like what type of activities you're going to be doing. Running, for instance, it requires a lot of proportion and strength from your hip. That means that if you are not able to engage those muscles when you're doing these tests, you might be starting to overload other parts of your body. For example, your knee, or for example, your ankle. So some of the patients turn up here with lateral knee pain, or also called runner's knee, it's very typical, or some others with pain in the front of the shin because they're overusing their ankle. So yes, there's an implication with this, but people can improve it, people can practice at home, for instance.
So the distance between here and here is what, if I was going to do it?
So I will start with something very basic.
Oh, so it's going to be smaller, right?
Yes,
so you gave me the hard one.
Yeah, this is a test. So we obviously look at the literature for tests. The total length of these strips are about 6 feet, 6 to 8 feet is the literature. But you can start with something much smaller, and the more and also not necessarily all the strips that we use today on the floor.
Right, so like the tricky one.
Yeah, the tricky across perhaps, and not very significant for somebody that does a linear movement, like running. So they can practice mostly going forward, going backward, going sideways, and not necessarily across, which is more for rotational sports, for instance.
Great, you've given me something else to try out.
Okay, Pixie, so we're going to have a look at your running gait. So we're going to see from behind how your feet and how your legs and your trunk are moving, and then we're going to have a look from the side as well to see what your stride length is like, how your body is positioned, so your head positioning, whether you're flexed at the trunk. We're going to have a look at all of these things. So we're going to start you off running, so I'll let you be in control. You can
feel like I run my
bottom
out like that, and you'll tell me, won't you? Just crank it up.
You can just crank it up, And then the speed you normally run at. So we had a look at you running on the treadmill. Now what we noticed was you are more of a forefoot striker. So you don't strike the floor with your heel, you strike more with your forefoot. But also we can see that your feet are slightly turning out, and I think you probably are in some stability trainers, are you? Yeah, and that's because maybe your feet naturally would overpronate, but you've managed to correct that with the trainers, and it looks good. It doesn't look like you are overpronating, so that's a good start. Okay.
Yeah, there's a slight, what we call functional valgus of the knee, which means that your knees tend to come very close to each other. That tends to be a sign either obviously of a long-term instability from the ankle, or a weakness coming from the hip stabilizers of the hip, so the lateral side of the hip. That is something obviously you can easily work at home with some of the exercises we looked at today, and other exercises we can simply prescribe and don't really require any equipment.
And being a 4 foot, does that make a difference?
So it means your calf muscles are working harder, which is actually a good thing because those muscles can help with shock absorbing. If it's something you're not familiar with doing and you're thinking of becoming a 4 foot runner, if you're about to train for the marathon, it's probably not the time to change your running style. But we can also hear the sound of your feet on the treadmill. They sound quite heavy, so I think maybe if we look further up through the muscles in the hip and in the trunk, that might be a reason for it. There may be some weakness and instability there, and that's why your feet are striking the ground more heavily than we would hope.
So guys, what are the most common problems that you would see with runners?
But for runners, certainly is the knee. The knee is one of the most affected joints. A lot of people come here with anterior knee pain, lateral knee pain, just as a result of overstraining, not necessarily having any particular damage in the knee itself. So sometimes with a few exercises, a few advice can potentially carry on running. Then obviously it's a lot to do with also the strength of the hip and everything, versus obviously you would agree with me with that. Right?
Yeah, so the hip in women and also in men, but typically more in women, women have more weaker hip muscles in their glutes. And so the ratio between the adductor muscles and the abductor muscles in research has been found to be weaker in the abductor muscles in women. And so this can affect the angle of the knee. So if you have weak abductor muscles, then your knees will begin to drop in and you get a valgus deformity. And this can cause extra strain on some of the structures in the outside of the knee, which is what Federico was talking about with the ITB, runner's knee type issues earlier. And also we can get problems with our lower back. Again, it isn't always necessarily the fault of the lower back. Sometimes it can be due to muscle imbalances elsewhere. So for example, if you are very tight in your hip flexors at the front, and if you are maybe someone who is overstriding in your running, then if your hip flexors are tight, then your back will go into more extension and you may get irritation to some of the facet joints in the back and you may get back pain as well.
So I suppose for the amateur, really, what we just think of is getting a decent pair of trainers, having a decent pair of feet and cracking on. But clearly, you know, I suppose I'd never thought about things like my core and the importance of all of that. I will take away a lot from this.
Yeah.
I suppose my final question to you is, having already had an injury, what do you do when you get injured? I mean, your mental head tells you, because you told everybody you're doing your big event, crack on and keep going. When do we have to take a step back and think, hey?
Well, our advice is to try to seek help as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. It's better to have an assessment from somebody that obviously has an expertise with the running early on. Make sure that the assessment is clear. There's nothing, not problems at all in the joints, and therefore the physiotherapist might recommend just a few days of maybe low impact activities whereby you can continue with the cardiovascular training, and in the meantime some exercises that are going to help you to fix the problem. Okay. One of the recommendations that we give is don't leave it too late, because if you're leaving it too late, obviously 8 to 6 weeks from a competition, for a physiotherapist's point of view, it's very difficult to treat that injury. So we can do miracles sometimes, but it don't happen very often.
So treat the small injuries. And I suppose another point is that physiotherapists aren't necessarily for people who are injured. You're a great place to come to get an assessment of, what
we can screen
which is really good.
What might be a potential problem for the future to try and prevent it in the first place, and that's the best way to treat. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I've learned lots, so all I've got to do now is do the miles. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.